70% of the people who govern this country are from the northern part of the country. But if you want to see hunger, starvation, and any other thing, it's from the north. Why? We are the major problem. But our people doesn't want us to be speaking the truth. And that is why we continue to somersault in this kind of issue. So please, me, I am on the opinion, 2027, let's give Igbo a chance. Because I strongly believe, in fact, I am enthusiastically strong believe that the Igbos can be able to handle this country's affairs because they have economic infrastructure to fix this country. Look at what is happening today. Look at what is happening today. In fact, on a daily basis, on our television screen, what you see, they are sad news. They are sad news. There is no single thing, no opportunity that has not been given to the northern part of the countries, but they have not been utilizing it appropriately. So please, let's give Igbo a chance. That is my opinion. Let's give Igbo a chance. I strongly believe Igbo can be able to handle this country economy. Let's give Igbo a chance. That is my opinion. Me, I'm speaking my opinion. And because I'm saying we should give Igbo a chance, let's keep our differences aside. Let's keep the issue of ethnicity aside. Let's keep the issue of religion aside. Let's keep any selfish ambition aside and equally try the Igbos. They have not been used in this country completely. We have not been using Igbos. We have not been giving them ministers. We have not been giving them any position in this country. So please, it is my opinion that I'm saying. And because I am saying that we should give Igbo a chance, does not mean that we don't have people from the northern part of the country that can govern us well. But I am saying we should give the Igbo. Let them equally try their own luck. Let them try their best. Me, I strongly believe they will make it. And they can make this country to be a better place. That is my opinion.
No country exists on a foundation of multiculturalism. There is nowhere in the world. Listen to me very carefully. All this nonsense, even the crap that Coca was coming up with, telling you about diversity is our strength and all that rubbish. Allow me to repeat, there is no country on this earth that survives on a foundation or a bedrock of multiculturalism. It doesn't exist. That is why multiculturalism in Africa is dead on arrival. It can never work. Because we are tribal beasts by nature. We are tribal by nature. That is why we travel from wherever we are during New Year's, during Christmas, during Easter, during New Year Festival to go back home where we come from. Because that is where we identify with. Now let me ask the US ambassador a very simple question. Is United States of America a multicultural society? US that was created and built by Western Europeans. US was created, should I say, created by God, of course. Built by Western Europeans. Mostly English people that was fed up with the way of life of the English monarchy. They went to America on merry roads. I want to ask the US ambassador, I want to teach Africans what they don't know this evening. There is no country that functions on this multi-ethnic rubbish. Nowhere in the world. Not even the USA, that was created by people who are not indigenous to America. The owners of the soil of America are Native American Indians. That is a fact of life. God gave America to Western Europe to develop and gave them a special grace to be the beacon and the light and the conscience of the world. Because God knew that if he had left all these wonderful people in Europe, they would become contaminated. He removed them from Europe, sent them to America, built a wonderful nation as a shining light and a beacon for the whole world to look up to. Even that America that was built from scratch by people who are not indigenous to the land is not multicultural. Why am I saying this? America was founded on the principles of Judeo-Christian, Greco-Roman, democratic value systems. I repeat, America is not multicultural. They accommodate other races and other nations. Yes, they can accommodate you. But where you're coming into, the bedrock, the foundation of America is based on Judeo-Christian principles, Greco-Roman political ideology, which is republicanism. America is not multicultural. America is Western Europe. The value systems of Western Europe, Judeo-Christian, Greco-Roman, Republican governance. Had America been a multicultural society, they would have space for Sharia. I'm now addressing the US ambassador to try to tell them to stop deceiving people. We are educated, we went to school for a reason. We are enlightened and we have our brain intact. There is no country on this earth that runs on this wishy-washy multiculturalism. It doesn't happen. What you have are established order and value systems upon which various cultures can now coexist. If you go to America, you coexist under the provisions of the United States Constitution. And the US Constitution is a Christian constitution, not Islam. America is not multicultural, but under that bedrock of liberty and egalitarianism, you allow other cultures to come in. But first of all, they must swear allegiance to or take an oath to uphold the Constitution of the USA. That is something that the US ambassador never told the Janjaweed that went to visit her. The same way that Nigeria cannot function as a viable entity. Wole Soyinka knows what I'm talking about. I'm even sure somebody who claims he's learned, as Bishop Coker is, understands what I'm talking about. No country on this earth. The value system of the state of Israel is based on Judaic principles. The value system of Russia is entirely theirs, it's based on theirs. It's a very Russian way of doing things from times of the Tsar. If you go to Saudi Arabia, it is essentially a Sharia Islamic state. You can live there, no problem. You can build your churches if you want. I think they've necessarily to allow churches to be built. But it is never a multicultural society. Japan is not a multicultural society. China is not. They can accommodate you, but that doesn't mean they are this is the type of nonsense they feed Africans. And we fall for that very gimmick of multiculturalism. At the end of the day, you end up with a useless contraption like Nigeria. You don't have any value system that anybody anywhere can define. If I talk about the USA, I can talk about hamburger in the USA. We can talk about, what else do they have in the USA? Hamburger, you can talk about, what's it called? What are the traditional dishes? Apple pie and all the rest of it. You can say that these are American dishes. If you go to the UK, you can talk about maybe mashed potato and bangers and mash, which is sausage and mashed potato as their national meal. That's understandable. But I ask you, if you come to Nigeria, what is the national dish of Nigeria? Does a Fulani Janjaweed eat ofe egusi, where we come from? Does an Igbo man eat a wedu soup? The answer is no. So on what basis is all this so-called multicultural foundation going to be laid upon? On what? We are not one people. We may be black, we may be Africans, but we're not one people. Not even one religion. If Britain cannot stay in an EU that is entirely Christian, EU is entirely Christian. Britain left. Nigeria, you don't know if Nigeria is Christian or in fact is Islamic. So for me to accept the multiculturalism being preached by the US ambassador, I have to embrace Islam as my religion. That's what it means. And some of you get taken in by all this rubbish. And I feel sorry for you. Yeah, sometimes when I say this, I'm being very arrogant. If you are educated, you will understand that no nation is multicultural. They allow other cultures to come in. It doesn't mean they're multicultural. They have a viable space where multicultural ideas or identities can thrive. But the foundation has to be monolithic. It has to be one dominant value system and ideology. That's how it is all over the world. Don't let anybody fool you otherwise. That is the same reason why you have this anomaly. In a so-called republic, you have royal fathers in a republic. Because you are trying to shuffle multiculturalism. You are trying to marry the feudal system of the North, the monarchical system of the West, and the Republican system in the East, to marry them into one. And what you have is entirely rubbish, and that is why Nigeria can never work. Not now, not tomorrow, not ever. Competing value systems. Nobody wants their own value system to be subsumed under another person's value system. This is something that the US ambassador never told you. But here I am telling you today. Because if you come here, you become educated. If you come here, you become enlightened. If you come here, you stop being a zoo animal, you become a human being. That is why we are...
Let's tell ourselves the truth now, at least for once. See, I'm going to speak, and a lot of people will think I'm speaking like a Biafran, but no, I want us to reason like analytical human beings. The fact is, the division of Nigeria, with all the indications on ground so far, is inevitable. The division of Nigeria is inevitable without implementing the regional system of government. Okay, let's look at the indicators. Number one, the fact is, the issue of national insecurity at the moment happens to be majorly a northern problem, right? You quite agree with me on that. And in that regards now, any government of the day, any president at the moment that is not of the northern descent or northern origin that tries to fix that, if he's hoping to come for a second tenure, I bet you he can't succeed in that. You quite agree with me, right? And this is what I mean by that. Okay. In addressing, considering bringing into view now what happened recently in Benue, just the normal issue of farmers' herders clashes, as they call it, right? Okay. In fixing this kind of situations, now forget about the deployment of military, police, whatever the president coming to visit. You quite agree with me that that doesn't solve anything, and it's not going to solve anything. The only thing that will solve that, to some certain extent, is we having a situation where there is ranches established for herders, right? That is to say, the herders must be in tune with changing times. Because you quite agree with me, there's no developed country you go to in this world today that you'll find a situation where animals wander all around. There is none. You can never find any developed country of that nature. But in so doing now, if the president of the day tries to enforce that, it's going to be rejected by the northerners to some certain extent, evidently clear even in the past, right? Considering the fact that these people are citizens or whatever, they are nomadic in nature, right? That has always been the conversation. They are nomadic in nature, so they move from places to places. And the fact is, I don't know where we're actually getting this. Okay, if you say you are nomadic in nature, how do you expect the government to account for you? Have you ever seen a country where you have citizens being nomadic in nature and the government can account for them and make budget for? So you see, the fact is, the herders must be in tune with changing times, but they are not ready for that. And even the politicians are not ready to have that conversation. Let's look at the issue of dialogue. We need to preach dialogue. We need to be accommodating. There's enough to share, according to Tinubu. But looking at it, you quite agree with me that as far as this life, this nature is concerned now, people have metamorphosized over time, which is the fact that people no more just live because they want to embrace each other in love and peace and harmony. There are two things that guide and regulate the conduct of humanity. One, adequate enforcement of the law. Even in developed countries. That is to say, you know that when you do this, this will happen. You must reap for it. You will go in for it. That makes people behave to some certain extent. Another thing that guides people's conduct is the fact that they must be subordinate and superior. Right? That is to say, in anywhere I live for there to be peace, is either they must be, you are the senior, I am the junior. So you know that when you try me, I will finish you, and me that knows that you are more powerful than me, I will not try you. Those are the things that keeps people in check. But if you think that we're going to sit down and be, in as much as we desire one Nigeria, we want to preach and we want to be all accommodating, we believe we're stronger together. But it's not the preaching of peace and love or whatever that keeps people together. These two indications are what keeps people together. And you quite agree with me to some certain extent. The two is missing. There is no adequate enforcement of laws, we are under-policed, even the armed forces is overwhelmed, and a lot of other things. So what will keep people in check? So what we are fighting for at the moment is a situation where who is more powerful? Is it me, the Fulani man? Is it me, the Yoruba man? Is it me, the Igbo man? Or is it me, the Hausa man? The fact is, that must be sorted out. When it's sorted out, now everybody will know his position and people now will just decide to keep quiet and whatever. Looking at it, when you now introduce our religious extremism in all aspects as well, that is evident in the country. You have a lot of radical Muslims, radical Christians who are not ready to tolerate each other. The only thing that will make us tolerate each other, let's tell ourselves the truth, is the full implementation of the law and the adequate protection of the vulnerable. That is just it. And all these things are missing. So how do you tell me we are not going to divide? And the fact is, looking at it now, Tinubu will not dare go that way. Right? Because by the time he tries to introduce that, okay, there must be establishment of ranches to curtail the free movement of the Fulanis, you quite agree with me that he is going to lose a lot of... the fact is he's already losing at the same time as far as the North is concerned at the moment. And that is what will even bring the division closer in that regards. In the sense that Tinubu doesn't look like somebody that is ready to let go of the fact that this 8 years is his birthright. And at the same time, the Northerners are not ready to give it to him. So when you have a clash of the titans, Abi, that is what I refer to this 2027. Forget about this defection. Clash of the titans is going to definitely give birth to something. So with all these indications on ground, my brother, the issue of one Nigeria, we are going to get better, will remain nothing but a delusion, seriously. We're going to talk more in this regards. I will drop more in this regard.
They're not at a disadvantage because of education.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, there are those who believe that it is a deliberate way of you northern elites to keep your people perpetually uneducated and poor so that you can control them.
No.
But is that fair?
No. That's not the correct thinking. I will tell you why. You see, in a way, religion played a role there. The man who has not gone to school is being told that he can marry 4 wives, it's allowed, and that he can give birth to 27, 30 children. You understand? So he's not even thinking that these 27, 37 children, I have to educate them. And I do not have a house where I can provide 27 rooms for everybody to sleep comfortably. So that is not correct. I think what is happening is that because of deficit of education, maybe, and I hope I'm wrong, maybe the leaders did not put in place what was reasonably necessary to accommodate that dislocation for the purpose of educating the populace. So rather, they leave it that way. That's how.
But isn't the failure of the leadership of the North?
It is. It is.
So you and your colleagues, northern elites, you have failed your people.
Well, I will enter a plea of not guilty to that charge, in the sense that have we been given the opportunity, for example, to occupy, you understand, positions from which we can generate policies that will address these issues? If you don't have that opportunity, what do you do?